My name's John. I'm a heroin addict.
John.
Looks like a lot more people now that I'm up here. Let me give you my experience, strength, and hope. I'm from Vancouver, Washington. I'm born and raised there. I've lived there my whole entire life. I grew up like pretty lower middle class. My parents were both dope fiends, and that was just the norm where I was raised. I remember being in like first grade. It was like neighborhood fun time, watching ambulances haul off people from overdosing in the neighborhood, and I just thought that was normal. I thought everyone got high. My dad was a big party animal, and his theory was always that I don't care if you get high as long as you get up and take care of what you got to take care of. Somewhere along the early 90s or so, they both quit doing like dope, but my dad did that like California sober thing, you know what I mean? So where he still got drunk and high every night. But he wasn't doing dope anymore, so there was that. But my mother got sober, but she didn't like get sober like we get sober, right? She quit doing drugs and was pissed off the rest of her life about it. And so that's kind of what formed my childhood. I always consider myself a smart person, an intelligent person. I always consider myself to have a good, decent amount of willpower. And I was never going to be like that guy, right? I was never going to be like that guy. And like, I always, I like to get high, it started off innocently enough. It started off with just smoking weed and dropping acid and hanging out in the school parking lot instead of inside the school, and like, right? And like things just like progress, like the natural progression of things. And it was like around 2007 or 2006 when the whole Oxycontin thing happened. And I found something I love, and I took off and running. And I was still like convinced that like I was smarter, I was better, and I had more willpower than you, right? And I was never going to become that junkie guy. And it was I soon found out that there was like cheaper alternatives, right? Because like Oxycontin was like $50 bill, and like heroin was like $20. So like I considered myself smart, so I made that financial decision, right? Saved myself a bunch of money, right? And I was off and running. I remember the day when I first decided to quit doing heroin. It was well before I actually ever got clean. And I didn't think I was strung out. I didn't think like I was gonna be sick. I didn't think any of that stuff was gonna happen. And like I consider that like the fork in the road moment for my recovery. Like I remember like thinking like I was like, okay, I've been doing heroin every day for like the past 2 months. I should probably stop. And that night I found out what it meant to be like dope sick. And like that's where my like addict brain kicked in. Like there's never a thought in my life was like, oh, look what's happening to you, and you're sick because you don't have drugs. Instead it was like I should go get drugs right now, and I was off and running. So like my story repeats itself a lot. I do the same thing over and over again. I would pick up and use. I would end up in jail. Pick up and use, end up in jail, homeless, rehab centers over and over and over again. And it wasn't until 2013 when I found the rooms. I was sentenced by court to come and get my slip signed. And I remember like getting on my old flip phone and like Googling like AA in Vancouver, and it sent me to an address, and I was walking around this parking lot, I'm like, what the fuck is even here? Like there's nothing here, but like there's this one little door where like some old lady was hanging outside of, and like I walked up and I'm like, is this AA? And she's like, yeah, come in, and gave me a big old lady AA hug, and I was like, okay. So I'm like, I sat down and I started listening, and I'm like, I don't fucking know what's going on whatsoever, you know what I mean? Like it was my very first meeting, I was lost. And I just remember sitting there and like everyone was talking about all this stuff and I had no idea what was going on, but they kept saying like, come back, right? And so I came back, and I started listening more, and they started talking about, stuff like, find a sponsor, work some steps, be of service, find a home group, do all that kind of stuff. And I started getting little bits, and like, I jumped my feet on finding a sponsor for a bit, but finally I got so fed up with my shit because it was like living in fear, I was like scared to like, because asking a man to sponsor you is a really weird thing, right? At least for me, in my experience, like walking up to another man and be like, hey, will you sponsor me? It's like the equivalent of like walking up to a girl, like, will you be my girlfriend? You know what I mean? And finally I got, right? It's an awkward experience, that I've done multiple times in my life. And I walked up to the man and I was like, I'm like sitting out back smoking a cigarette, and I was like, do you sponsor people? And he was like, yes, get a big book and call me. And so I did that shit, you know, and I started off running. I started doing all the things, you know. I found some success in my life, and my life started turning real nice, and I quickly forgot about what I did to get there, you know. And so for me, it was like I started putting everything in front of my recovery, you know what I mean? I put like recovery at the top, and slowly, like, you know, like girls started coming first, you know, working started coming first, hanging out with the homies started coming first, and pretty soon, like, I pushed recovery down to about 4 or 5 on that list till where it came a point when I didn't really have much of a defense, you know what I mean? Because I wasn't doing much in my recovery, and I was presented with the opportunity. I came out with shingles, like, and that's like I don't know how that happens, but like I go to the doctors and like they asked me, they said, would you like some pain medicine? And I was like, no, I'm in recovery, and the doctor was like, but it hurts, right? I'm like, yeah, it does hurt. You know, and so they handed me a bottle of Oxy, you know, and I was unsupervised. I didn't tell my sponsor, I didn't tell any of my peers, right? Because like, why would I tell them? Because my mind was already made up. Last time I was going to get loaded, and I was off and running. You know, I made it like 3 years out in the streets, and that was like the lowest times in my life. I was completely demoralized. I was living in a shanty on the side of the Columbia Slough in Delta Park over in Portland. I was scraping by. I was doing everything I could every day just to commit felonies, just to make $16 so I can get most of a bag. You know what I mean? And that was a good day. I don't have some kind of glamorous story where I was the man pushing pounds and nothing like that. I was scraping by. You know what I mean? That's the very truth. You know. And I remember it was my clean date's 1/5/16, right? And so it was like 2015, I was around Christmas time, like I'd already been through all kinds of shit. Like I had endocarditis and sepsis and MRSA all at the same time. The doctor told me I wasn't gonna live. That didn't keep me clean. You know, my mom, I watched my mom slowly pass away from cancer. That didn't keep me clean. You know, everything. Nothing was gonna keep me clean. I didn't think I could do it, right? I had been gone out of the rooms for so long and so loaded that I thought I put myself in such a deep hole that I could never ever fucking get out of it, you know? And I made all these plans, like I was like, I'm gonna get clean, maybe, like I don't know what to do, like, I remember like, I'll go to detox if you buy me dope, you know what I mean? And I was like, fuck, you know, I'll follow the carrot, you know what I mean? Drag me around, you know, and that didn't work, nothing worked. And I just remember like, sitting in the car one day outside of the CPS building in Vancouver where you go for your little supervised visit, because I was with my friend and she was in the process of losing her children due to her heroin addiction. And I'm just sitting out in the car like all by myself, and like it was a Honda Civic, and we were living like 2 other people living in the car. And you know, and it was just not, have you ever lived in a Honda Civic? Like it's not very roomy, and like the heater didn't work, and the trunk leaked, and it was just a moist, wet, rainy mess, dude. We all stank, and like I didn't have nothing going for me, and I was just sitting in the car like, dude, what? Like, I had too much of a habit to overdose at this point, because this was before fentanyl, right? And I didn't know what to do to get clean, and I was just bawling my fucking eyes out, and I was just crying. It's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go, and I don't know, right? And I don't want to live like this no more, because I can't take living like this anymore. So if I can't get clean, then I need to fucking go. I need to pass away or something. I need to die, because I don't want to live on this earth no more. And from there on out, like, I was just, I made up my mind, like I was going to do something about it, you know what I mean? But like I was scared, and like I was full of fear, and I didn't know where to go, even though I did know where to go, right? I did know where to go, and it just, I couldn't do it. I was like bound, like I was like, oh shit. And so on January 5th, 2016, I went to detox, but I didn't go to detox on my own accord. The Vancouver Police Department took me to the drunk tank, you know? And I was sitting in jail, and I was facing multiple felony charges once again, and I was just like, fuck. I'm like, what am I gonna do? You know, I know I have options here. I know I'm gonna be sitting in jail long enough to where I have no choice but to detox. You know, and I made a decision like that day, like that I was gonna try to get into one of the court programs in Vancouver. And I remember like I told myself, I said, if my plea bargain is over 6 months, then I'm gonna try to take drug court, right? And if it's anything under 6 months, I'm gonna just do DOC, get out, and try to stay clean that way, right? And I remember I went and seen my prosecuting attorney, and she gave me my plea bargain, which was for 6 months and 1 day. And I was like, that's my sign. Like I felt like I was sitting in there, like, you know, like just I had probably like, at that point I'd been in jail for like 2 months, so I was clean, I was like sound of mind, and I was like, that's my God shot, like that's my God shot. I said, anything over 6 months, I'm gonna take drug court, and she gave me 6 months and 1 day. I was like, the fuck's the 1 day for? Like the 1 day, like, you know? And so like I was like, cool, and so like I remember I was walking back to the pod, and in Clark County Jail, they had these stairs, right, and it's just nasty and full of dust bunnies everywhere, but they had this little janky-ass bookshelf up there with all these dumb books, and like, they're like romance novels. I remember I read like, it was like a factual account of like a Roman battle, so it wasn't even a novel, it was just like, and then he moved here and camped for 3 days, but I had nothing to do, I was on 23-1 lockdown, so like I read every single book. And I remember I was getting out and I was like, okay, maybe there's a new book over there. Maybe like we got something new in I can read. And like I walk over there underneath the stairs on the bookshelf right there was the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Nice. And that book had not been in that cell before. I would have read it. Like I read everything, you know. And it's not a bad read. The stories in the back are actually pretty good. You know, yes. The whole thing's good. You know. Wow. And so I picked up that book, and like, I still like this. Like almost 7 years later, I'm still getting chills thinking about this moment because like my higher power knows I'm stubborn, right? Like it's not smack me in the face with this shit, you know. And I got out. I started doing my thing. You know what I mean? I got out. I found a sponsor. After I got out of jail, did a monthly treatment. I got out on May 3rd, 2016, and June 2nd, 2016 is when my home group was started. And that's when I became a member of Heroin Anonymous. And I quickly, I walked into the rooms, and there were junkies there that were staying clean, right? That doesn't happen that often. Each one of us right here right now is a miracle because we're clean today, you know? I know you guys know what's going on out there. People are dying left and right, and we are fucking miracles, you know? So I work hard to keep my seat, you know? And my life is like, if you would ask me what life would look like 6 years from getting out of treatment, like I would have never been able to describe this, you know? That hole that I thought I could never drag myself out of is nothing, you know what I mean? Like I have been able to succeed in my life, you know? I never thought I would do anything besides barely scrape by on the bottom of life, you know? And through this program, I've learned, been able to turn character defects into character assets, you know? Somewhere along the lines of my recovery, I turned into a hardworking man, you know? I turned into an honest person. I turned into someone's integrity. I turned into someone who's compassionate, who can think of others before myself, you know? And that was never me. That was never me before. You know what I mean? When you're doing step work and you're reading through the big book and it talks about a spiritual awakening, and then it has that little asterisk that says, read spiritual awakening in the back, you know? How many people don't actually go to the back and read that shit? You know, when you read Bill's story and it talks about, like, he had that flashing light moment, and he talks about all of a sudden he's overcome with the power greater than himself. You know, that's not the experience of most people. You know, some people do have that experience, but for me it was more the gradual experience. Where one day I realized I'm just not a shitty person. You know, I can look people in the eye. I can be honest with them. I don't steal. I don't lie. I don't cheat. I don't do none of that shit. You know what I mean? And I get up every day, put my boots on the ground, and I get up and take care of what needs to be took care of. You know, and I owe this all to this program. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm grateful. I don't think I'd make it out there anymore. You know, everyone's just dying. You know, I've buried so many people in recovery. You know, my grand sponsor just went out like 2 weeks ago and he passed away. You know, and it's just like, fuck. And it's like, I want to be able to come up here. As much as I don't want to be up here doing this, but I owe this as a service to the people that come after me to tell you that it is possible. You know, that recovery is possible. That you don't have to live your life to be a statistic. You know, you don't have to be a sad Facebook post with saying rest in peace and everyone says, damn, another one. You know, you don't have to live like that. You know, you are here, you're wanted, loved, and needed, and I'm grateful that you guys had me up here to speak today. So I'm John, I'm a heroin addict. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for your share. You guys ready?